Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Works premium media podcast. Every week we get together and talk about movies, TV, and online content and help to answer the question, is there going to be a bigger, bold-faced lie than Warner Brothers claiming to be the only pure storytelling company in movies this year? I don't think so. That's a pretty bold thing to say when you just write off a bunch of animation projects. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Join me today, Tom Blight.
I think it's not bold. I just think it's a cunty, you know?
That's fair. That's a fair statement.
Mm.
On today's episode, we'll be talking about what's in our watch history, revealing our 2024 Academy Award predictions, going over some film news, giving some thumbs to trailers, and revealing this week's top three. Kicking things off, over on Holocron entries, we talked about the first 3 episodes of season 3 of The Bad Batch, the final season, where they released a 3-episode premiere of the Star Wars animated series. Dylan, what are your thoughts on the start of this season of Bad Batch?
Yeah, good start to the final season. Hopefully seeing it head into wrapping up the story or doing something interesting with the elements that they're playing with, because they've just thrown a bunch of ideas and things to link it towards the Rise of Skywalker basically throughout the 3 seasons or the 2 previous seasons, and now they're full steam ahead with that idea, it looks like. So yeah, enjoyed the 3 episodes. Hopeful they can land this plane.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an interesting setup to the season and kind of giving us answers. There is definitely a lot of, trying to fix certain elements of the Star Wars lore that has been set up in other movies that they're trying to, explain with some of the stuff that they're doing in the series. But yeah, I mean, it's a good time. It's pretty solidly animated. The performances are good. Yeah, I'm keen to check out, be following each week over on Holocron entries. I do kind of wish they would just put out multiple episodes every week. I don't know. I feel like just let me get to the end. It's going to be rough to go to next week. It's like one 20-minute episode. It's like, is this enough? But yeah, Bad Batch season 3. We're talking about it over on Holocron entries, so check that out. So I went and watched Drive Away Dolls, the first film directed solely by Ethan Coen, written by Trisha Cook and Ethan Coen, starring Margaret Qualley, Geraldine Viswanathan, Beanie Feldstein, Coleman Domingo, Pedro Pascal, Bill Camp, and Matt Damon. It follows 2 lesbian friends who go on a road trip, one after Margaret Qualley's character has a breakup with her girlfriend, played by Beanie Feldstein, and the other one, just decides she wants to go, south. So they do a drive away, which I think is a thing in America where you take a car that needs to be delivered somewhere, and you drive it to that location. It's like
right.
I guess car Uber, no, car delivery Uber, something like that. Set in 1999 as well. So that's a clear distinction. Unfortunately, there's been a mishap where a bunch of bad guys have stowed away a secret package in this car and wanted their drivers to take it away, but the guy at the driveway place has given it to these 2 lesbian women. So yeah, they've accidentally taken this secret package with secret stuff inside. And these bad guys are going to track them down. It's fun. It's a really fun time. I think Margaret Qualley is fantastic in this. She's doing a southern accent, which is very against type, but is so perfect. And she's I mean, it's a classic Odd Couple thing where, she's hyper free spirited and wants, open about her sexuality and, sex and that kind of stuff. Whereas Geraldine's character is more, straight laced and like kind of closeted, I guess, a little bit, or like very old fashioned and that kind of thing. But they come together as best friends, or potentially more. It's um, yeah, it's fun. There is just some weird. I mean, at times it's like, I mean, it's a Cohen movie. I think it kind of reminds me the most of like Raising Arizona, like some of the surreal or like over the top reactions to certain things. Um, the dialogue is really snappy and fun and that kind of thing, but there's some weird stuff in there. There's like these like a hallucination esque, drug interstitials at times. It does kind of come to like a there is some sort of point to all of them, but in the moment, it's like very jarring to have these weird like drug trippy interstitials. I kind of wish it was a little bit longer. I wish the payoff at the end was a little bit bigger. But I had a really good time with the characters. Bernie Fieldstein is really fun as like the jilted ex who's really angry. There's a very funny scene at the start where she is drilling off a wall-mounted dildo that's just hanging on the wall. She's very upset. She's like, "You bought me this. I don't want it anymore." Um, yeah, lots of dildos, lots of jokes. There is the driveway dude called Curly. It's very funny. He's very funny. Poor Curly, who meets an unfortunate end. Coleman Domingo plays like the leader of these couple of bad guys who are following the girls across, like, as they're traveling south to Florida, I want to say. They I feel like there could have been a few more misadventures and that kind of thing. It just feels like it could have been a little bit more. I've seen some of the criticism like, "Oh, Ethan Coen is a bit weird that he's doing like a lesbian movie," which I don't take much issue with. I just feel like what he's doing, his showcasing of lesbianism, is not really progressive. It's like every time it's a bunch of lesbians together, it's either they're all making out or they're in a bunch of lesbian dive bars, and that's it.
I think that's how.
It's
I think that's what lesbians do.
is that the entire lesbian
I
experience?
think that's the lesbian experience. I think that's the lesbian experience.
Well, I apologize to Ethan Collins because he captured it completely.
I think
that's all they do.
I think that's all they do.
I apologize. My mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan Cohen, fantastic depiction of lesbians in Driveway Dolls.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would recommend checking it out. It's a fun time. It got like a C- cinema score, which is really not good, and obviously it didn't do very well at the box office. But I had a good time. I think there's a lot of laughs in there. Geraldine and Margaret Qualley are fantastic together. Yeah, check it out if you can, wherever you can, whenever you can. All right, Dylan, I'm assuming you watched the finale of True Detective Night Country.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Like right as we jumped on here, I was like, "Fuck, I should see if I updated my track," and I had not. So anyway, I've checked into that now. I did indeed watch the finale of True Detective Night Country. I really enjoyed the whole season. I thought it was really good. It's been really interesting to watch and keep up the news, I guess, if you want to call it that, as it's been happening, because while it's both the most viewed since I think it's more viewed than the first season.
It's the most viewed season of True Detective.
Yeah, so the most viewed season of True Detective. It's got the highest score, or one at least as good as this thing. But if you look on the internet, I'd have you believe that everyone hates it. So, and the show's original creator hates it. So it's a wild time. Jodie Foster and Kaylee Reese, I think. They're absolutely fantastic as the two characters throughout this. I think the I don't know, it's hard to talk about spoiling it. So I mean it becomes a story, and it's a story about two women and their unresolved trauma. Not like joint trauma. Well, I mean, to a degree, it is at one point, but they have their own sort of things. And a case happens. All these men disappear. The scientists, they walk out, fucking disappear, and then their bodies get found in the snow. and then you've got this case happening, and it's sort of like the case becomes their obsession, but also as a means to not ever face what's really troubling them in their own lives. And they just get sort of obsessed with it to a degree. All the other characters that are actors in it are really, really good. I think shout out to Fiona Shaw. She plays like one of the strongest little side characters who doesn't get a lot of time, but every time she's on screen, she's such a strong presence. Interesting, I think she's implied to either be the mum of Matthew McConaughey's character from season 1, or at least she was the partner of because she was dating Matthew McConaughey's character from season 1's dad, who's mentioned in the first season as having moved out to here, and then he's mentioned in this as like because he's passed away at this point. So there's your like connection to between seasons. And then Christopher Eccleston plays a bit of a fuckhead in this, but you know he does a good job at doing that as like sort of Jodie Foster's character's like I want to say boss, I guess, in the police force. Yeah, lots of symbolism, there's a few unanswered questions going into the finale, but it's that like if you're someone who wants all the answers, like, the show may bother you by the time you get to the end, but like we don't need all the answers. It's fine. There's a few interesting tidbits. If you look on the internet, there's lots of people trying to fucking if you scroll through it out of context, the who left the tongue is such a weird question to see and go, what the fuck is that about? But that's like sort of one of the unanswered questions of the show. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I think the other standout thing from it was just how much it covered and brought in the indigenous side of this particular area of America, what they're facing. And because this is based on like a lot of real, I guess, issues that have happened and are happening, and I thought that was a side that definitely I haven't seen shown in a major television show. You know, lots of picketing against these major oil corporations and stuff like that on what was their land until, you know, history. Yeah, so all that's really good, and I'm really keen to see they announced that we're getting a follow-up. Isa Lopez is returning, so yeah, super keen. I really enjoyed it.
Yes, I'm happy for everybody involved, and I'm enjoying them reveling in their success in the face of all the hate.
It's funny. It's just like it's old dudes, and like
whoa, what a surprise! I am so shocked that a bunch of dudes are upset about a female-led, female-created season of television.
Yeah, it's so funny though, because you just like I started following. I never heard or seen Isa Lopez stuff before. I want to go back and watch like some of her movies now because I obviously really enjoyed this. And I started following her on Twitter and stuff like that, and she would like tweet out like fan theories, and like she's very like interactive on Twitter each episode, which again is one of my like highlights about why shows like This Week to Week are good, because it gave someone like her a chance to sort of interact with the positive fan base, and should retweet people with good theories and like smiley faces and like thank people for enjoying the show and whatever else. But then every now and then she'd be like, I don't know why you're hating, you know, and then you'd get like the original dude like just like sharing all these like hateful things or whatever. It's and then meanwhile you've got these really like wholesome interviews with Jodie Foster and Kelly Reese. Like apparently there was an interview with Jodie Foster where she was like coming to the show, and it was like she asked for a character to be aged up, and then she asked for more of the story to center on Kelly Reese's character instead of her, because she, you know, she's at that time of her career where she's pretty comfortable. She doesn't feel like she needs to be the, you know, the centerpiece of anything anymore. So like all in all, it's like there's so many like good stories that have come like redone reboot of the True Detective, and then over on the other side of the internet it's just a bunch of dudes like just going, this is the worst thing that's ever happened.
We really cared about this franchise that we didn't even realize was in its 4th season. You know?
Yeah, it's like fucking hell.
They haven't made a season of for like several years. You know?
Yeah,
good times. Yeah. So everybody go watch Tigers Are Not Afraid, Issa Rae's movie. which apparently is very good. I've seen, I was looking something up about horror movies. Maybe looking up like the last week's franchises Nolan should do, and like that one was an underrated movie that kept popping up. So
Well, I assume it's like that's coming off that she's got this. So
yeah, well, I mean that was made in 2017, so I mean I'm sure she did a bunch of stuff.
no, I'm sure she's done other stuff, but like I think that was from
Yeah,
my googling. And again, I'm saying I'd literally never heard of it. I'm fucking very naive to her
Yeah.
history, but like that was everything I googled. Everyone that was the one thing that everyone mentioned. So yeah.
So you've been watching a lot of stuff on ABC iView.
Indeed,
You've been watching the documentary series Nemesis.
it's quite good. So it's about Australian politics. It's a 3-part series about the Abbott, Morrison, Scott, who the fuck? No, Turnbull. Fucking, let's back that for a second. It's about their years within government. It features interviews with everyone apart from Abbott, who chose to not be involved. And again, it's as someone who obviously they're not my who I was voting for at any point in history, but it's still quite interesting to watch. They cover everything from, you know, Abbott getting into government, them saying, we got to, like, after the Kevin Rudd, Julia Gillard shit, Australia wants this, strong government without all that flip flopping between people, and then what eventually happened with them anyway. Hearing all these interviews behind the scenes, it's one of those things where you like get annoyed sometimes because they'll literally be interviewing like certain politicians and they'll be talking about how, so we were like, it sounds like parody. It's like, so we'd gather at so-and-so's house every night, and like they're just planning to overthrow fucking Turnbull or whoever, and all this stuff. And they're like, we'd have these meetings in the office. And I'm like, what do you actually do? Because it sounds like all you do is just sit around and fucking plot to overthrow one another. I'm not sure what else is going on. Cover everything from, Tony Abbott shirt fronting Putin comments through to obviously Turnbull completely screwing himself over by making up a lie the day he took over from Abbott and saying that Abbott got 30 weeks of negative poll results, which he admits was just total bullshit and a number he made up. But then as soon as he reached 30 negative weeks, that was the benchmark he set himself and he fucked himself. Through to Scott Morrison going for a trip to Hawaii, which in the interview he still says he doesn't see the big deal about. So
While the country was burning.
While the country's burning, so there's lots of good little tidbits in here. I feel like obviously it's definitely not for the, I don't know, maybe outside of Australia could find interest, but within Australia it's definitely a very strong, each episode's about an hour and a half, 90 minutes, so very in-depth into each episode. 90-minute one is obviously focused on that one particular prime minister's run. I've been really enjoying it. I thought it was quite insightful.
Cool. I mean, you've also been watching Media Watch and Four Corners. Is like, have you suddenly got a general interest in American?
I usually watch Media Watch anyway. I think I never really checked into it, and then when I opened, because I'd usually just watch it on TV when it's like live, flick through, see it there, watch it because it goes for like 15 minutes, right?
Yeah.
So I'd see it watching dinner or having dinner. Sometimes I'd usually watch it. Have you ever watched it? It's quite funny.
It's like pointing out all the mistakes in the media and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So it's always like, here's the Herald Sun headline that they say this, we reached out to them, they said this, that's bullshit, because it's meant to keep in line. It's like the show's been running for 10 plus years. It's very old. But when I put on that Nemesis thing, because I don't know where I saw someone tweet about it and I was like, yeah, I might check that out. But when I was on ABC IV, I was like, fuck, I might as well we're 2 weeks into Media Watch this year. I might as well
catch up.
Why haven't
you tracking this?
Why am I tracking that? So I did that as well, yeah. And then I assume you want to watch the Four Corners one, or?
No, I'm good. I don't need to watch a guy blow his career.
That was very funny. So yeah, then I watched the Four Corners episode, the first episode. And again, Four Corners is not something I would regularly watch. I'll watch it when, much like this particular episode, there's something that's well talked about and like something of interest or whatever. I'm not going to be watching every episode of Four Corners, but yeah, the one that everyone was talking about on the news because it was about the supermarkets, Coles versus Woolworths, and the big headline was of course the fuckhead from Woolworths, whatever his name is, just Brad from supermarkets, just completely acts like a idiot, and then the next day he quit. Very funny, very good Four Corners episode that digs into. I mean, a lot of it you obviously know that the prices are fucked, and you're like, why do I want to watch this? It's just gonna, you're like, what's it telling me that's different? But there's some funny parts in there too, where like he buys a bottle of wine that Coles owns, and Coles don't advertise that they own it, and on the back of the bottle it has some like big fancy story about it, people coming to this country and settling here, and the two rivaling wine places or whatever, and he like drives out to where apparently this place is, and he goes to the dude there, he's like, do you know anything about this? He's like, nah, never seen this. So it's just like, and then like after Cole's head or whatever, like, what's the deal with the bottles? And she's like, oh, we'll look into it. And all this like other weird shit, like, yeah, so there's other stuff like that, stuff that I don't have where I live, but like these big Coles that like they're not actual supermarkets, they're set up like supermarkets, but they're just solely for click and collect. So I can't remember the wording they use, but I don't have any of those around me. But yeah, interviewed some of the employees from that and saying that because there's no actual visitors to the store outside of employees, the conditions are terrible. Like they regularly they get like 15-minute breaks and 6-hour shifts. It's hot as fuck in there. They don't have air conditioning because they want to save money. Like all that, like that sort of stuff I found outside of the, hey, did you know the prices are high because shit they can and people are paying for them, and then and Woolworths goes high and then Coles matches them, and Coles goes high and Woolworths matches them. It's like all of that, like I'm well aware of, and is ridiculous. And the only thing they say about that is obviously that the government should be doing something about it, which they apparently are, but they're going to spend like 12 months doing in fucking investigation into it before they do anything. Yeah, but no, that was an interesting episode as well.
All right. So I watched a couple of Prime Video sports documentaries. The first one's called Bye Bye Barry, which focuses on the Detroit Lions running back Barry Sanders, who was, fantastic running back, who ran for Detroit from 1989 to 1999. It's like 10 years, but he retired like abruptly on the verge of like breaking the all-time rushing record. And like it's always been a kind of like a mystery, or like people don't understand why like he would quit playing football like right before he could potentially like put himself into be the best running back of all time, or like have the greatest rushing record of all time. So it's a documentary kind of follows his career, kind of explains like a lot of his like rationale and like a bunch of different like things that he did during his career, and how like it was weirdly like in juxtaposition with like stuff he did before he made it to the NFL. Like his first season, he was like right before the end of the match, is like 10 yards away from being the rushing leader for the year, and he just they're winning the game by a lot. He's like, no, I don't need to go back into the game. I'm good.
That's weird.
He's a guy who wasn't interested in personal accolades or any of that kind of stuff, but he was one of the best running backs of all time. Really interesting documentary, lots of interesting talking heads. Of course, you got a lot of like people within the footballing community and that kind of stuff, and like commentators and reporters and that kind of stuff. But then you've got like diehard, famous Detroit Lions fans like Jeff Daniels and Eminem being interviewed as well, and talking about their experiences and how how kind of heartbroken they were when he left and that kind of stuff. And of course, they actually have Barry Sanders talking about his career and like his relationship with his dad, who he was very media shy, but his dad was like very happy to talk to any single media person who ever came to his door. And like they kind of had an interesting relationship where his dad was always like trying to humble him, but it always kind of felt like he was like talking shit about him the entire time. Like, if it was me, I would have run. I was a much better running back back in my day. I never played NFL, but I was much better than. I'm the number 2 running back of all time. I kind of try to hold all these things above Barry's head and that kind of thing. Yeah, very fascinating documentary. Check that out. And then I watched Giannis, The Marvelous Journey, which follows, which documents the rise of Giannis Antetokounmpo, from being a refugee in Athens to playing in the NBA. His family, like his mum and dad, like left Nigeria to come to Greece despite not knowing the language or anything, and were pretty much living in Greece, completely undocumented. Could have been deported any day that authorities came across them and that kind of stuff. And they had their four of their children. Their first child they had to leave in Nigeria because they just wouldn't have been able to make the journey. Um, so yeah, following the like Giannis talks about their childhood and how rough it was, especially because when they're growing up, they had that massive financial crisis in Greece, where rather than blaming the government, it's like it's all these undocumented refugees who are causing all the financial issues. These people on absolutely no money and struggling to live day by day are like the ones to blame
They
for our
are
economy
because
collapsing.
if they had more money, they could spend it. You know what I mean?
So yeah, just talking about these four people, like this family of six living in like 2-bedroom houses or like 1-bedroom houses and that kind of stuff, and like how they had no money and how difficult it was, and like they got into basketball so he could try and make money to like give back to his family and that kind of stuff, and like kind of documents his coming to America and like how difficult that transition was because he couldn't be with his family, and like how the Milwaukee Bucks like tried really really hard to get like had to work super hard to try and get his family across, because they didn't have passports or anything, you know. And the only reason he got a passport was if he was so good at basketball. Like the Greece government's like, we don't want you playing for Nigeria, so we'll give you a passport so you're eligible to play for Greece, in like internationally and that kind of stuff. So yeah, then it kind of follows his career in uh, the NBA, becoming the MVP, winning the championship, all that kind of stuff. So, and then all this family stuff. It's a very interesting look at a character who like is one of the characters of the NBA, one of the like the faces, one of the best players, and like very different from every other NBA player because he's so family focused and like family first. He just wants to be around his family all the time and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, very wholesome documentary. Recommend checking that one out on Prime Video as well. All right, let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. The thing I've been watching on Netflix is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Now, my favorite story, just before we move on, to give your thoughts on it. My favorite story I saw about the show this week was apparently one of the cast members auditioned and they thought they was auditioning for James Cameron's Avatar.
Yeah,
that's very funny.
That is funny. Yeah, one of the like older cast members. So,
older cast members, yeah.
So yeah, this is a live action adaptation of the beloved animated series Avatar: The Last Airbender, also known as Avatar: Legend of Aang. Not featuring any blue people, but featuring a world in which people can bend or use powers related to the 4 elements: earth, fire, water, and air. 100 years ago, there was a big, the Fire Nation, the Fire Nation decided to strike against the Air Nomads and wipe them out. And the only person who could have saved them was the Avatar, someone who could bend all 4 elements, but he disappeared, but has been reborn or found 100 years later after he was frozen in like a block of ice. So now he has to try and stop the Fire Nation before they take over the world. Which is very basic level explanation. I love the animated series, so going into this, especially at first, like this is one of those shows that like I was very optimistic, like from the first few trailers.
You always are, though.
Yeah, I'm always hopeful, and then they started talking about it, and my optimism was diminished consistently every time they said anything. I think the show is fine. It's it's definitely better than the M. Night Shyamalan film. I think there are some cool visuals. I think they do a solid job at like the story. It's just hard to like have this thing you love and you see it like cut and like it. Yeah, this is a difficult adaptation to like remove yourself from. I feel like um you're like, why did they make that choice? Why did they do that there? Especially in the first 4 episodes, I'm like, you're being very critical of like every decision they're making. um and I think it might be like because they're going for a slightly different tone. Like the original animated series was very cartoony at first and like jovial and like light spirited and that kind of stuff, at least at first, and like would paint in shades of darkness and like hit those like darker themes and elements and that kind of stuff. This one, they like straight out of the gate, let's like try and make this action heavy as possible. Let's have this really cool fight scene and let's just murder a bunch of people. Let's like make it as dark as possible. Definitely trying to make it like a little bit more serious.
That's what people want.
That well, I mean, they come out and said we want to make it Game of Thrones, so I mean, it's
Hell yeah.
You know, it is what
His
it is.
sister's fucking whose brother?
No, thank God there is that. And then it's also the condensed nature of it. Like the first season, I want to say off the top of my head, was like a full 20 something episode, like animated TV show. Whereas this is eight 45-minute episodes. So it is definitely condensing about a bunch of stuff. They're like weaving a bunch of different storylines together and like ways that I don't personally like they make decisions to like incorporate stuff from season 2 and the Umashu stuff and like the King Boomy stuff. I They make a choice where there's like he reveals himself to be King Boomy, and I wish they'd like then his actions afterwards just kind of make him off like he's a dick instead of like he's a fun goof who's like trying to test Boomy, trying to test Aang in the series, and that kind of stuff. I also feel like, yeah, I mean, and the opening, like Aang, the thing that angered a lot of people is this shot where Aang's got like wind powers. He's the last airbender. That's his thing. Like his opening shot, he's like kind of floating down weirdly, and like it looks like he's flying, but flying isn't a thing that airbenders do. They kind of like use the air, but because it's live action, the air doesn't look the same that it does in cartoons. You know, because air is invisible. I don't know if you know this still. Can't actually see air, so it's like you just I just feel like the weight of certain things is not great. Like some obviously you can't do the same amount of fast pacedness that you can do in cartoons. Like there's just elements of cartoons that just don't translate fantastically. But I feel like they did capture a lot of like the relationships and that kind of stuff. Like the core Katara, Sokka, and Aang, I feel like I wish they had more time to like develop that relationship. Because it's a lot of them interacting with other people. It's not the core three like interacting with each other very much. I think they nailed the Prince Zuko Uncle Iroh relationship, and especially I was very surprised that it actually worked in the end, because like right from the start, Uncle Iroh, played by Paul Sung Hyung Lee from, I don't know, The Mandalorian, people probably know him most from, and Kim's Convenience. He's just doing a weird voice that I wasn't expecting. It doesn't sound like Uncle Iroh, which is of all the characters that I was most upset about him not sounding like the animated version. He was the voice that I was most upset about, like initially, like was the most jarring. But as the season went on, they like really captured that character who was very beloved. And I think they did a really good job at the Prince Zuko character. Again, I feel like his storyline would works better over a longer period of time. Like they're definitely setting up who's kind of not as bad as he appears to be, like very quickly. So it takes away from the redemption arc he's going to potentially be on. And yeah, there's just other little things like that. I think the production value is pretty good. CGI is pretty solid. Fights are pretty good. Like the costuming is fantastic. That kind of stuff. I think it is pretty good. It's just not the animated series. If I was like, if you were to come to me, Dylan, and say, "Hey, should I watch the live action thing or should I watch the animated thing?" I would always every day say the animated thing.
Really, I'm shocked.
I know it is surprising, but this is for the people who don't want to watch animated stuff for some reason. So I think it does a solid enough job. Yeah, I just kind of wish it was longer and had like delved into the characters a little bit more. They have a little bit more fun with like side adventures and that kind of thing. It's very much plot point, plot point, plot point, plot point. Trying to pull the plot along consistently the entire thing. And also I'm very upset that they changed the mole badges and the tunnel of two lovers. Very upset about that. But yeah, other than that, it's fine.
Other than that, it's great.
Other than that, it's
Other than all those issues you just stated.
I mean, it's a difficult task, I would. Here's my thought. I'm trying to think. Do I prefer this over the Cowboy Bebop remake? And I would say this one sticks more true to the original series than the Cowboy Bebop remake does. But this is definitely below the One Piece anime live action series. So just trying to set the scale here for people who want their live action adaptation rankings, But yeah, I mean, jump in. I mean, there is some new stuff in here that you'll never seen in the cartoons and that kind of thing that they've kind of expanded on and that kind of thing. So
all that, and he says, "Jump in."
Yeah, why not? Just watch stuff. I guess. I don't think it's terrible. I think the kids. They're like actually got age appropriate children who are quite young. So I mean that makes it. They're not going to win any awards or anything, but they do a solid job. Yeah, it was enjoyable enough. I didn't hate myself after I watched the 8 episodes.
And that's the bar, you know what I mean? Did
That
you hate
is
yourself after
That
watching
is the
this?
bar.
I did
No.
not watch it.
All right, let's move on to something else. Of course, the Academy Awards are only a couple of weeks away. We just had the SAG Awards on the weekends, and the PGAs last night. So we're going to do our Oscar predictions for this year. Dylan, are you excited for the 96th Academy Awards?
I don't know. I feel like honestly that I'm getting a little feel like there's so many award shows at the moment. I'm over encumbered.
I mean, I think there always were a lot of award shows.
Maybe I'm seeing more than usual.
Yeah, I think they're televising more of them now. Like obviously the SAG Awards was on Netflix this weekend. For the first time, like live. Which was interesting. Can I say, really, there were 2 shocking wins at the SAG Awards. Pedro Pascal winning for Best Actor in a Drama Series, and then who is it? From The Crown. Yes, the other Australian in a drama series.
Yeah, I mean her
winning
face,
over Sarah Stalker.
She generally looked shocked.
Yeah, genuinely shocked. But yeah. So yeah, we're gonna go through our predictions. For anybody who's been keeping count, I've won every single year that we've been doing this, so pay closer attention to what I'm gonna predict. All right. Let's kick things off. Best visual effects. The nominees are The Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, and Napoleon. Dylan, what are you predicting?
The Creator.
I'm also predicting The Creator, but I would love to see Godzilla win this one. So, I think it's definitely down to those two. Even though Guardians is very good with the Rocket and the Groot, I guess.
The Rocket and the Groot.
Kids. Rocket and the Groot and the other animals.
Before they all die.
I mean, yeah, that's what we want from our best visual effects. Next category, best sounds. The nominees are The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, and Oppenheimer. We're going Oppenheimer.
Me too.
Again, shocking.
How do you not get past the loudness? You know, that's sound in its purest form.
Absolutely. Next, best short live action. The nominees are The After, Invincible, Night of Fortune, Red, White, and Blue, and The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar.
Wonderful
Who have you
story of
picked?
Henry Sugar.
Yeah, same. Again, not entirely surprising given, it's Wes Anderson. They're
She's
going
a front runner.
Yeah, they're finally an opportunity to give him an Academy Award. Why not for best live action short? Best short animated. The nominees are Letter to a Pig, 95 Senses, Our Uniform, Pachyderm, and War is Over, inspired by the music of John Yoko. I've gone Letter to a Pig, which apparently is about a girl reading a Holocaust survivor reading a story about a letter to a pig that saved her life, apparently. Looks very pretty.
I'm going War is Over. People love them Beatles.
They do love them Beatles. Next category is Best Production Design. The nominees are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things.
I'm
Dylan.
going Poor Things, even though I haven't seen it.
Okay. I've gone Barbie. Again, I feel like those are the two probably frontrunners. Like Poor Things had incredibly intricate sets, but Barbie was also massive.
Barbie was Barbie.
Barbie was Barbie with a bunch of sets as well. So
yeah.
Best Original Song. The nominees are The Fire Inside from Flaming Hot, I'm Just Ken from Barbie, It Never Went Away from American Symphony, Wahaze for A Song for My People from Killers of the Flower Moon, and What Was I Made For from Barbie. I feel like it is What Was I Made For from Barbie.
I'm Just Ken. I'm going to play full into the memes. I'm going to say Ryan Gosling hates life. He's like, for fuck's sake.
Okay.
I wish I never did this. He goes up to accept it. He's just like,
well, I mean, it's
thanks.
confirmed that it's been confirmed that he's going to perform the song at the Academy Awards. Yeah. So I don't know if he's going to hate it the entire time. Best Original Score. The nominees are Laura Cartman for American Fiction, John Williams for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Robbie Robertson for Kills the Flower Moon, Ludwig Göransson for Oppenheimer, and Jessic Fendrix for Poor Things. Done.
I'm going Oppenheimer, Old Mate Ludwig.
I'm also going for Old Mate Ludwig. Why not? It's a great soundtrack.
We do love Ludwig.
Yeah. He'll be a couple-time winner now. Best Makeup and Hairstyle. The nominees are Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of Snow. I'm going Maestro because, Bradley Cooper was wearing makeup all day, every day.
And I'm going Maestro as well. I watched the movie. I think it's a bad movie, but yeah, makeup and hairstyling, sure. Good.
Makes sense.
That was a good part of the
movie. Best International Feature. The nominees are Io Capitano from Italy, Perfect Days from Japan, Society of the Snow from Spain, The Teacher's Land from Germany, and The Zone of Interest from the United Kingdom. Dylan.
I'm going the Zone of Interest.
I'm also going the Zone of Interest. I think that's a given.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty foregone conclusion in that category. Next category is Best Film Editing. The nominees are Laurent Seneschal for Anatomy of a Fall, Kevin Tent for The Holdovers, Thelma Schoonmaker for Killers of the Flower Moon, Jennifer Lame for Oppenheimer, and Yorgos Prasadis for Poor Things. I've gone Oppenheimer.
I zoned out for a split second and forgot what category you're reading out.
This is film editing.
Film editing, Oppenheimer. I've gone with Oppenheimer. I mean, very highly edited film, so cut.
There's a lot to edit.
the explosions, the back, the past, present. Yeah.
Best documentary short. The nominees are The ABCs of Book Banning, The Barber of Little Rock, Island in Between, The Last Repair Shop, and Nai Nai and Weipo. Dylan.
ABC's of book banning. I've gone with.
I've also gone the ABCs of Book Banning because that's a hot topic.
I mean, yeah, definitely does feel like we're living in the 1950s, but yeah.
Yeah. Although I've seen both The Last Repair Shop and Nai Nai and Weipo being promoted on Disney Plus. So if you want to see some of those, watch those. Best documentary feature. The nominees are Bobby Wine, The People's President, The Eternal Memory, Four Daughters, To Kill a Tiger, and 20 Days in Maripol. I've gone 20 Days in Maripol.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's one I want to watch the most too. It's finally out soon, I think.
It's about the Ukraine war, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, relevant, hot topic, so makes sense.
Some real on the ground, risking their lives journalism.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to present an award for it. Next category, Best Costume Design. The nominees are Jacqueline Duran for Barbie, Jacqueline West for Killers of the Flower Moon, Janty Yates and Dave Crossman for Napoleon, Ellen Murinich for Oppenheimer, and Holly Waddington for Poor Things. Done.
I went with Poor Things for costumes.
Ooh, I've gone Barbie. Yeah. Recreating all those classic Barbie costumes. Best Cinematography. The nominees are Edward Luckman for El Conde, Rodrigo Prieto for Killers of the Flower Moon, Matthew Libatek for Maestro, Jose Van Houten for Oppenheimer, Robbie Ryan for Poor Things. I've gone Oppenheimer.
I too have gone Oppenheimer.
Yep, unsurprising. Best Animated Feature. The nominees are The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Dylan?
I've gone The Boy and the Heron.
I've gone The Right Decision, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Even though I would be very happy if, The Boy and the Heron won. Even though Miyazaki is probably not going to be there.
We will both be wrong.
I think one of us will be right.
You reckon?
What do you think is actually going to win?
No, The Boy and the Heron. What are you talking about?
And how are we both going to be? Oh, Jesus. All right. Best Supporting Actress. The nominees are Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Naiad, and Davine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. I've gone Joy Randolph for The Holdovers.
I've gone Jodie Foster with a surprise coming.
Oh, that would be a surprise.
Oh.
Massive shock. Best Supporting Actor. The nominees are Sterling K. Brown for American Fiction, Robert De Niro for Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling for Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo for Poor Things. Dylan?
Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer.
I've also got Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer. We thought it'd be closer, but he's won every single award, I think.
Yep.
Other than best supporting actor. No, they didn't even have a best supporting actor in a comedy at the Golden Globes. So yeah, he's won pretty much everything. Best actress. The nominees are Annette Bening for Naiad, Lily Gladstone for Kills the Flower Moon, Sandra Hüller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. I've gone Emma Stone.
I've gone Lily Gladstone. Although I do feel like this is a tough one. Given
I feel like these two categories, two best categories are the lead categories are like very closely contested. Yeah. Speaking of best actor, nominees are Bradley Cooper for Maestro, Coleman Domingo for Rustin, Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, and Jeffrey Wright for American Fiction. Done.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah,
Nolan.
I've also gone Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer, who I think has started to like the momentum is starting to go his way after Paul Giamatti was winning a lot of stuff.
Oh no, I
in the
can't
lead
remember
up.
last time. I don't remember last time I saw Paul Giamatti win. I feel like I've just seen Cillian Murphy. In fact, I saw a meme the other day where it was just Cillian Murphy winning several times and just pictures of Bradley Cooper looking very annoyed in the audience.
That's fair. All right, best original screenplay. The nominees are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, and Past Lives.
I've gone Past Lives.
I've gone Anatomy of a Fall. Yeah. Chance to give a chance to give a woman an award.
I think
Yeah.
Past Lives is written by a woman, right?
Yeah.
It's written and directed by a woman.
Multiple women, I think. Like
Yeah.
3 of the 5, I think, are written by women. So, best adapted screenplay. The nominees are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. I've gone American Fiction.
I've gone Oppenheimer.
Yeah. I've just gone. They're not going to give Oppenheimer everything. There's got to be at least a couple of categories that they give it to something else. So,
when's American Fiction out? The 8th?
right now.
Is it? Oh, I missed that. My bad.
Like sometime this morning, I think it dropped.
Okay, right.
All right. Best Director. The nominees are Justin Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. I've gone Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer.
Yep.
Think very safe bet there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Best Picture. The nominees are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Dylan, who are you predicting for Best Picture?
Maestro. No, joking. Oppenheimer.
I'm also predicting Oppenheimer. So I think I would be genuinely shocked if anything but Oppenheimer won at this point. You know. So yeah, those are our predictions. I think it might be a close year this year. You know,
We got a couple.
I feel like those technical categories and the not headlining categories are going to be the ones that make the big difference. So, let us know who you think's going to win, and we'll all look forward to watching the Academy Awards. It's only 2 weeks away. Crazily, it also feels like it's been forever since. It's been a long award season. Yeah. All right, let's jump into a little bit of film news. This is an interesting one that I saw pop up and got surprisingly positive remarks about. So it's been reported by the Insider that Lionsgate is keen on doing a modern day version of Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho. Lionsgate owns the IP for adaptation, is apparently open to a writer taking killer suit Patrick Bateman into the 21st century with a version of the character more befitting the modern age. Plenty of inspiration out there in the modern business world, that's for sure. Lionsgate had pondered a remake 12 years ago, but nothing ever came of it, while Easton Ellis has pondered where Bateman might be in the modern world. Of course, American Psycho has famously been adapted before, with the most now iconic Christian Bale performance as Bateman in Mary Harron's film from the year 2000. In the original story, a wealthy New York investment banking executive hides his alternative psychopathic ego from his co-workers and friends as he escalates deeper into his illogical, gratuitous fantasies. I've seen a lot of positive reactions to this news. Like people being very keen on the idea of a more modern, well, I guess modern day. It's like 24 years. American Psycho. Dylan, would an American Psycho set currently work? Are you keen on the idea?
It's hard because I guess an update could be interesting. There's so many changes around what that type of character and business person would do and be about. There are definitely updates, but then I think about things like the classic business card scene. I'm like, does that work? What would they change that to? Their fucking TikTok page? I don't know.
No, the digital business card.
Digital business card, yeah. Look at my Adobe font. Yeah. So crisp, double layers. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm iffy.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they are actually making it modern day, I think that's key. Like, you have to like modernize it in an interesting way. Um, yeah, I mean, the potential's there. There is a ton of American Psychos out there, so I mean, I'm sure they can find somebody to like some sort of inspiration. You know, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It was just interesting to me the positiveness around this news. In a world in which everybody gets upset about remakes being bad in general.
So they should.
Yeah, I mean, so they should, but the idea of taking something that's old and kind of reimagining it in modern day is not terrible. Is not terrible in every circumstance. Is what I'm saying. So yeah, this filled me with optimism about the reporting of news and that kind of stuff. The other big story this week, I'm reading from Deadline. In a move that ought to make fans of the Beatles twist and shout, Sony Pictures Entertainment and Oscar-winning filmmaker Sam Mendes and his Neil Street Productions have set plans to make 4 separate theatrical films, one of each of the members of the music's most famous and enduring band. Mendes will direct all 4 films, and this marks the first time Apple Corps Limited and the Beatles, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and the families of John Lennon and John Harrison have granted full life story and music rights for a scripted film. Mendes conceived his grand vision. He'll tell interconnected stories one from each band member's point of view. The dating cadence of the films will be revealed close to the film's releases. I'm told they're locking down writers quickly. Yeah, Dylan, what do you think of the concept of Sam Mendes making 4 Beatles movies centered around each of the characters or each of the members of the Beatles?
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The Beatles cinematic universe. I can't wait to have to watch a Disney Plus show to understand where Ringo was introduced first,
I think it's cool. I think, very ambitious. And we are getting some weirdly ambitious projects out at the moment. I mean, James Cameron's coming out and said he wants to make a gazillion Avatar movies. So I mean, whatever. But Sam Mendes kind of committing to what would potentially you would imagine be like a decade-long project, unless they're shooting everything back to back at the same time, which you may also have to do because you're shooting 4 movies. You want to have, I guess, scenes that are from the same sets and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I feel like this is a logistical issue more than anything else. How do you do a lot of this will have to be filmed at the same time, just shot from different angles and that kind of stuff. How logistically do you pay everybody for that? Is all the crew getting paid for 4 movies at the same time? If they're shooting 4 movies, are you getting 4 times the pay for potentially the same amount of work as one movie, one really long movie? But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's unheard of. I've seen, I know there is at least one project where it's this events of a relationship is told from his perspective, and then there's another movie that tells it from her perspective. And then they also did a cut where it's intercut of the 2. So potentially down the road there could be a director's cut where it's just all 4 movies cut together as one project. But yeah, I mean, it's a big bold idea.
Did you ever watch Nowhere Boy?
Yes, I watched Nowhere Boy with Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brody Thomas Sangster.
Why do we need this? It's fine.
We're gonna see the bit after that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the key thing here is going to be who's going to play the Beatles, and that brings us to this week's top 3.
Definitely in the top 3.
Top 3 is top 3 casting recommendations for the Beatles. So, Dylan, what's your number 3?
I got 3 actors. I think they can play whatever role. Don't really care.
Because all these Beatles are interchangeable, and
They're all 3 of these white boys.
they're
have a
just 3
similar-
white boys.
Yeah. I think 2 of them are probably the go-tos. So I'll start number 3, Ty Sheridan.
Hmm.
He's a white boy.
Okay.
He played Scott Summers and that dude in Ready Player One.
He certainly did. All right. So my thought process, number 1, my only rule was they need to be British.
Mm.
I don't want a bunch of Americans coming and playing the Beatles. You know what I mean? You're quickly checking your list to make sure there's no American.
No, I think I'm good.
So I put down
Now hold on.
Harry.
Ty Sheridan's from Texas. Fuck.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure it's American. So yeah.
God damn.
You know, but whatever. I've seen people like no, like Dominic Sessa from Holdovers. He should be playing one of the Beatles. It's like he's very American.
I saw people recommending what's his face from The Bear.
Evan Moss Backrack?
No, the main dude.
Eddie Berry?
No.
Those were the Beatles. Jeremy Allen White, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
My number 3, Harry Melling as Ringo Starr. Harry Melling, obviously, probably best known for playing Duke Dudley in those Harry Potter movies. But he's having a pretty solid post that career, working with the Coens on the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. And then he was a key character in the Queen's Gambit TV series. He's just got like the face and like that kind of stuff, the vibe to play Ringo. Okay, Dylan, who's your number 2?
Paul Mescal.
Good choice.
A white British boy that we all love. He's in all the movies that we love currently.
That's a good pick. Good pick. My number 2 is Leo Woodall as Paul McCartney. So he's currently the hot big thing at the moment. Obviously, he's coming off the last season of White Lotus, but he's in that 1D Netflix series that is doing gangbusters. To the extent where he's rumored for a bunch of different things, including potentially playing James Bond. But let's get him in this long-running Beatles thing before that. He's got that boyish face. Dylan, what's your number 1?
Barry Keoghan. Keoghan?
Yeah.
He's that white Irish boy that we all love. And he's in all the movies we like right now.
He's not wearing many clothes at the moment.
Yeah. So I reckon him.
That's a good choice. My number 1 is George Mackay as John Lennon. Of course, he's already worked with Sam Mendes on 1917, so he'll work on a relationship.
Pretty sure he's not British.
Pretty sure he is British.
You sure? No, you're right.
Yeah, suck it. And he's done like a bunch of weird.
He was a fake.
I mean, he was in the Ned Kelly thing, so you're like, oh, he's Australian.
I knew he wasn't Australian, but for some reason I thought he was a secret American British spy.
He could be, but yeah, I think he'd be a good fit for John Lennon, that kind of stuff. So yeah, those are our casting recommendations. And that's this week's top 3. Let's move in and give in some thumbs to trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers we're about to talk about in the show notes below. Big list this week. We're kicking things off with Boy Kills World, directed by Mortitz Moore, starring Bill Skarsgård, Jessica Roth, Michelle Dockery, Brett Gelman, Isaiah Mustafa, Jan Ruhan, Andrew Koji, Sharlto Copley, R. John Benjamin, and Famke Janssen. When his family is killed, a deaf man named Boy escapes the jungle, where he's trained by a mysterious mentor to exact revenge on the murderers. Dylan, what do you think of the trailer for Boy Kills World?
Yeah, I don't know where this came from. Hey, double thumbs up. I'm it's a very weird concept, very wild trailer. I love the setup with the then I got a voice, and then I got kicked, then I got abs, then I joined a team. Like it's a very funny paced trailer, and yeah, I'm all for Famke Janison return, I guess.
Yep. Get her in something before she returns in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
Surprise cameo, I'm sure.
Mm.
Yeah, this 2 thumbs ups from me as well. I think, a very fun, cartoony setup. Obviously, strong, heavy action trailer. I think there is a bunch of like pretty solid martial artists like known. I think his mentor is like the dude from the Raid, right?
He's one of them. He's the less famous one.
Yeah, like
and Ruin.
yeah. So, Bill Skarsgård looks like he's put on a bunch of muscles. And yes, the idea of him having an internal monologue that's like an over the top action star voice is amusing. Also love the use of that song, which we last saw in that Charlie Day comedy movie that didn't review very well, that nobody saw, but had a fun trailer. And it works here too. The Bing Bang Boom stuff. It also the weird like Hunger Games / Purge element of this is amusing as well, with the breakfast cereal mascots murdering people on
I'll tell
television.
you what, this thing has a marketing budget, and they're using it.
I think this is just one trailer.
One trailer, but IGN's got sponsored stuff up. IGN has like exclusive clips. I've seen it highly pushed on Twitter. I feel like they've paid for it. Yeah,
Work on that algorithm.
Yeah.
So according to one site I've read, it's coming to cinemas here in Australia on the 25th of April. But I couldn't see that confirmed anywhere else. So take it with a grain of salt. Next trailer is for Shirley, directed by John Ridley, starring Regina King, Lance Reddick, Lucas Hedges, Brian Stokes Mitchell, Christina Jackson, Michael Cherry, Andre Holland, and Terrence Howard. In 1972, the first ever black congresswoman, Shirley Chisholm, launches a trailblazing campaign to become the President of the United States. Dylan, what are your thoughts on this biopic?
Double thumbs down. I thought it was a very paint by numbers, boring trailer. But the story may be great, and the person and everything, but I just thought it was a very boring trailer.
Yeah, I'll give it 1 up, 1 down. I think it is pretty by the numbers. Again, there is a line where it's like, you just sound like every other politician. This kind of does feel like every other politician biopic.
Yeah.
Especially set around this era and that kind of stuff. I mean, there could be some interesting stuff in there. Obviously, it looks like she's talking with the Black Panthers party and that kind of stuff. Trying to get their support and that kind of thing. So that could be. I'm sure it will be a very interesting film. Regina King is a very good actress, and like Lance Reddick, and then the cast is really good. But yeah, this is has it got me eagerly anticipating it? No. So Shirley releases on Netflix 22nd of March. Next trailer is for The Girls on the Bus, created by Amy Chozick and Julie Plec, starring Melissa Benoist, Carla Gugino, Natasha Bainham, Christina Elmore, Brandon Scott, Griffin Dunn, Mark Concelis, and Scott Foley. Sadie McCarthy is a journalist who romanticizes a bygone era of campaigning and reporting and scraps her whole life for a shot at covering a presidential campaign, at covering a presidential candidate for a paper of record. Sadie joins the bus and eventually bonds with her 3 female competitors, Grace, Lola, and Kimberlyn. Despite their differences, the women become a found family with a front row seat to the greatest soap opera in town, the Battle for the White House. Dylan, what did you think of the trailer for The Girls on the Bus?
I'm going to go 1 up, 1 down. It was a very mixed vibe, sort of all over the place trailer, where I couldn't figure out if it was just supposed to be like Sex and the City, but on a bus, or like that sort of vibe, or more serious, or I don't know. I really enjoyed Melissa Benoist in this trailer. I think she was the standout. So yeah, 1 up, 1 down. I'll stand by that.
Yeah, I'll be one up, one down, one up, one down as well. I'm interested by the conceit of the idea of the season, like following a presidential campaign. I don't think people understand what the bus is, like in general, like probably outside of America, like
Probably not outside America.
Pip-
I mean, the only reason I know is from watching a lot of
the newsroom.
yeah, I guess that definitely would have helped.
There was that second
Good point.
season with John Gallagher's character
Goes
is like on the bus.
Yeah, I was about to say but also from like documentaries and stuff. But yes, that's
Okay,
a very
yeah.
good point in the newsroom.
Yeah. But yeah, it looks interesting. It'll be interesting to see if how they can juggle those four characters who are very, you would think would be at odds with each other, like the conservative and the very liberal and the new media person and like the person who wants to loves the old age of reporting and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's intriguing concept, not a super engaging trailer, but like everybody involved, I'll probably check it out. So this one is coming to binge starting the 14th of March. Next trailer is for The Gentleman, created by Guy Ritchie, starring Theo James, Kaya Sculdelario, Daniel Ings, Jolie Richardson, Vinnie Jones, Giancarlo Esposito, Chanel Cresswell, Michael Vu, Max Beasley, Jasmine Blackborough, Harry Goodwins, Dar Salim, Pierce Quigley, Ruby Sears, Peter Serafinowicz, Ray Winstone, and Guz Khan. Eddie Horniman unexpectedly inherits his father's sizable country estate, only to discover it's part of a cannabis empire. Moreover, a host of unsavory characters from Britain's criminal underworld want a piece of the operation. Determined to extricate his family from their clutches, Eddie tries to play the gangsters at their own game. However, as he gets sucked into the world of criminality, he begins to find a taste for it. Dylan, what do you think of this series set in the world of The Gentleman, but starring no people from The Gentleman?
Yeah, I'm keen. Double thumbs up. I really like the cast. Great to see Vinnie Jones in this. Vibes. Looks exactly like Gentleman. It's because it's still got Guy Ritchie involved. Yeah, hopefully it's good. Double thumbs up. I enjoyed the trailer.
So, based on this trailer, how close to the vibe of The Gentleman is it? Just it's set in Britain and there's criminals?
No, they had like there's even the part where like because you've never watched it then. They have the part where they go into that shipping container. It goes into like a secret area. Like that's from the movie. Like so, a lot of it setup wise feels the same. Even like Matthew McConaughey's character feels similar. Even though Matthew McConaughey's character in the movie is like full on in the business,
Crime world.
crime world. But Theo James, even though he's coming into it here, feels similar-ish. And then you've got some of the weird and wild, wackier characters. They feel like they fit in like it just feels thematically the same, but with a bunch of different characters.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs up. I mean, it looks like it'll be a fun time with crazy criminal hijinks. And just the idea of this massive cannabis campaign production underneath a country estate is amusing to me at the very least. So, The Gentleman releases on Netflix the 7th of March. Last trailer for this week is for Horizon, an American Saga, directed by Kevin Costner, starring Kevin Costner, Sienna Miller, Sam Worthington, Jenna Malone, Abby Lee, Michael Rooker, Danny Houston, Luke Wilson, Isabella Furman, Jeff Fahey, Will Patton, Tatanka Means, Owen Croshu, Ella Hunt, and Jamie Campbell Bower. In the great tradition of Warner Brother Pictures' iconic westerns, Horizon, an American Saga, explores the lure of the Old West and how it was won and lost through the blood, sweat, and tears of many. Spanning the 4 years of the Civil War from 1861 to 1865, Costner's ambitious cinematic adventure will take audiences on an emotional journey across a country at war with itself, experienced through the lens of families, friends, and foes, all attempting to discover what it truly means to be the United States of America. So this is a trailer for Horizon American Saga, but it is for 2 films, Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer for this massive American Western?
I'm going to double thumbs up. I think it definitely has a huge cinematic vibe, and captures a type of film that used to be huge and pretty much like, I mean, westerns used to be superhero films, right? They were the biggest box office makers. They were but then there was a point of too many of them, and they sort of, the interest waned as we years
What a
passed.
crazy notion that there was an over influx of those
Yep.
movies of the same genre
Yep.
that got diminishing returns and eventually died out.
Yeah, so I look forward to that. Beautifully shot based on this. Cinematography looks insane. Proper cinema ratio. Lots of cast, looks great. I know why you're laughing. Fuck you. Then also, but my one conceit, like, double thumbs up for the trailer, but going into the movie, my one point is going to be, it really, I know a couple times they show Native Americans, but it really just seems like it's just a 2024 film of a subject that's been covered multiple times, where it's just going to do the exact same shit and sort of shove them characters and their stories to the side. And they have them, and the trailer gives you like a couple glimpses, and that would be like, well, no, their story, they're involved in part of it. I'm like, okay, but I never saw a single one of those characters speak throughout the trailer. I never saw anything other than them either being painted as like the big setup scene. They paint them as villains again because they're, you see the arrow fly through the house, and it's
We
like,
don't know if it's them.
just saying, they, at least in the trailer, it's like them savages, that sort of like setup, which it's just the typical sort of Western thing. So I'm hoping it's not that, because then it's like, I don't really understand. This isn't actually the American saga, the truth, if that's what you're sort of going out to create. I know that obviously there's characters, Native American characters in it, because they show them sometimes, but again, within this trailer, they're shown to either be attacking people or sitting quietly. Like, none of them look to have any personality or lines or talking. You know what I mean? Like, all the main characters that get any sort of emotion or scenes throughout this entire trailer are all the white characters.
I'll give one up, one down. I just feel like it wasn't clear what this movie is, other than a bunch of Western tropes and like story elements. Like,
Well, I mean, it's just the expansion of America. It's they're attempting to take up more land. That's the story. Like,
is it though?
I mean, from my understanding, yes.
Yeah. I just wish there was more of a clearer through line. It just feels like a best of moments from.
If
what
I had
this
to guess,
is
I would
gonna be.
assume, because this is a trailer for both movies, it's a vibe. Like, that's the trailer. It's just
Yeah.
a vibe. And then if they release a trailer for part one, then hopefully that would be more narrative focused.
But yeah, I mean, it looks beautiful. Lots of great actors. The set pieces look very good with like the fires and that kind of stuff. And like, it's probably going to be very tragic. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Again, a very ambitious project. Kevin Costner obviously shot part 1 and part 2 back to back, and is apparently wants to do parts 3 and 4. He finished doing Yellowstone and was like, I need to do my own Western. I can't do this modern day Western bullshit. I need to do old school Westerns, which is crazy. So yeah, weirdly, Kevin Costner's first movie and like director movie in like 20 years. So yeah. American Saga Part 1, Horizon American Saga Chapter 1 is set to release in America on June 28th, 2024, and Chapter 2 is set to release August 16th, 2024. No confirmed Australian release dates. But I guess we'll wait and see on that. Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
This week, I'd like to watch Dune Part 2, please.
Yes, I would also like to watch Dune Part 2, please. No, I'm going to. And you're going to.
You're going tonight as of recording. I'm going Wednesday night. I've booked my ticket for the double feature.
You've committed.
I've committed. Now, my only worry is that maybe by the time I leave work, I'd miss like the first 15, 20 minutes. But I'm like, yeah, like that is what it is. You know what I mean?
You can just rewatch the first 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, I've said, yeah.
Or like, I assume there'll be a significant amount of trailers beforehand, so
So,
despite it being a double feature, they'll stick a bunch of trailers at the start.
They will. So. Hopefully they don't play a bill in between the movies. That would be fucking...
No.
Fuck good.
There'd be massive, the long trailers, the long credits, and then,
straight into it.
So yeah.
Fucking hope so.
Very keen.
Pop out front for a smoke,
get a refill, bathroom,
Yeah.
intermission,
Quick
quick.
piss, whatever you got to do.
I
Yeah.
would recommend taking.
Yeah, I'd
Seeing
recommend.
as it's like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll be doing that. TV show front. Pokemon Horizons. The first episode is
Ooh.
out today. It was as recording, it was airing on 9 Go. So I'm looking forward to watching that. Fine, that's where so that's Australians, it's officially out. The Ash Ketchumless Pokemon series first episode just aired. I assume be able to watch it on the catch up.
It's dubbed?
Yeah, dubbed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually I might load it up now and see if it's already while you do. But there, my two picks.
TV fronts. I do want to check out Awaju, which is the new Disney animated series in conjunction with a African storytelling group set in like a weird futuristic Nigeria that looks really cool. So that's going to release on Disney Plus this week. Also, shout out to the completely true stories, clearly made up adventures of Dick Turpin, which is releasing on Apple TV Plus this week, which we talked about in the trailer a couple of weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Is it there?
It's not on here yet, but I mean, it only finished airing it like recently, so I assume it'll go to like. Is there ever a thing where they don't put a show that aired on to the recap service? That'd be weird, right?
I don't know.
Surely not. Anyway, yeah, it should be on there. It was airing. I opened 9Go, the website while I was recording, and I saw it was airing. It was playing at the time, so I was like, oh, cool.
Maybe it's a bit of delay or something. Yeah. All right. Let us know what you want to watch this week. What Beatles should be casting a bit? Who should be casting the Beatles movie? Let us know by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump to Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at What I Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars. And you can leave 5 stars or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this episode, thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/supports. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess. Like Avatar: The Last Airbender. The animated series.